action. In this episode, I wanted to introduce you guys to kind of the next steps that have taken place towards getting this bike ready for Canada and the trip through the Rockies. That being said, this episode focuses on the roll bag. Well, one may ask, what is a roll bag? Well, a roll bag is essentially a bag that will compress up real tight and real compact on the front of the bike right underneath the handlebars. The reason for that is you want to be able to kind of compress whatever's going in there really, really tight, but also you want to also have a good water seal. In the instance with this bike, I'm putting my tent in there, my sleeping bag, and then my tent stakes and poles. Those are all going to go in there. So since our last video, we've made the bags necessary for that, and I wanted to introduce you guys to them. So for the first thing here, if you recall, when I had first introduced the sleeping bag I had gotten a couple months ago when I was just getting over an illness, the sleeping bag was about this long, and it was probably about that round. It was real kind of squat, but real fat, and that wasn't really going to work. So I got looking at how I could kind of get this so that it would compress down better, and so tried folding it up or rolling it up in such a way that it's about the same width as the tent. And as you can see, when I do that, I can get something that's much more flat, and it's longer, but when you get the two together, they'll really kind of compress down. So the first and most important thing with this was I wanted to have a bag specific to the sleeping bag that was going to have a, for the most part, watertight enclosure, basically a dry bag. So first thing we had to do is make a dry bag. So if I grab this bag here, what you can see is that it is a bag with essentially 3 seams, one on each side, a little T essentially, and then one on the opposite side, and then there's just a little seam at the top. And if we actually look at the back, you can see I have these straps on here. Now what these straps are for, as I'll demonstrate and show you, is I can take my sleeping bag and open up the bag, try to at least. I open up the bag, I stuff the sleeping bag in there, and basically I'm stuffing it down into the corner, and then I can kind of push it down to the opposite corner. And then from there, I can kind of just fold this over and kind of roll this up, squeeze out all that air, because it's important that you want to get as kind of tight a compression for your bag as you can. So then I'll run these straps around like so. I need to loosen them so that I can get this buckled down like so. And all the while you want to try to get the air out as you're doing that. So I can start getting air out, and I can start tightening the strap down like so. Then I can do the middle one here, same as I did with the other. And I can tighten this down, but as I'm doing that, I want to squeeze that air out. Get a nice tight bag. And then for the last part, squeeze this down. And I got to loosen this a little bit because I've already had it tight once. I'll run that strap. And so I can just go and I can tighten these down as I need. And I can get a sleeping bag that's really condensed down, and it's going to be nice and flat, and it's going to go really well with the tent. So those are the items that would go in this bag. So I had to look at then, what does that diameter need to be, what does the circumference need to be, there were other factors that come into play, like you want to be able to protect the bike frame from any kind of rub, because as you're moving along, that bag is going to be rocking maybe a little bit. Even if it's minute, there's still going to be, where the handlebars come and then the fork comes up, you're going to have some potential rub there. So, you know, that needs to be accounted for so that the bag doesn't tear. So that's the dry bag, and then these two bags would go into the actual roll bag. So the idea that I had for it that I really liked is I kind of liked this idea that this bag would go on the bike, and you would have the ability to be able to stuff the items in from one side or from the other. And then you'd be able to essentially wrap this up and tighten it down and then tighten it up. So this bag is a little more complex than the dry bag, of course. It's got two straps on the ends, and it's got some of that cutting material, the plastic cutting board material that we had discussed when we were discussing the frame bag. And that kind of keeps it rigid so that we can kind of fold it up, and then we can kind of collapse it down like so. So there's that. There's only one main seam on this, which goes right down the middle. So a little bit of seam sealer on that and it'll be good. And then there's this flap here, which you can see, which essentially would rest between the bag and the bike frame. It would rest between the handlebars and the fork and the bag, so that when that bag gets pressed up, it's getting pressed up and collapsed down, and that rub is going to wear this before it will wear the bag. Now, one of the other things that you can see here is there are these pieces of strapping, it looks like. And essentially what these are, and I'll demonstrate this here when we go to put it on the bike, I've got these tunnels that I can run my fabric through that's going to basically wrap around the handlebar and then cinch this up to the handlebars. Now, they look kind of funny in a way, the straps do, but I'll explain that as I'm going along with the bike demonstration. And part of that is because of the shape and profile of the Surly Moloko bar that I'm using. I had to try to configure this in such a way that it would match and kind of work with those handlebars. So it took a little bit of creativity to get that to work, but you know, basically these will wrap around the handlebars, then they'll go through, and then they'll come all the way back around, and they'll clip in. That's the idea behind it. So that's kind of what the bag looks like. We'll take a little bit closer look on the bike, and hopefully give maybe you guys some ideas for doing a roll bag yourselves. You know, maybe it be a custom-made one or just going and buying one. So let's go take a look at the bike. So one of the things that I forgot to explain in the first part of this video is that since the last time you know, we had any kind of talk about the bike or the gearing or this journey, I have wrapped the handlebars. Now, as you can see, this is very colorful, very vivid, very different. I had seen online a pattern that was done, and it actually looked like a handlebar cloth that had been done, or it was possibly with some actual handlebar cloth as opposed to the actual cork wrapping. I saw a pattern that utilized three colors like this, a red, a black, and a white. I really like that, and I kind of wanted to incorporate that with this bike, and so I got doing the research. As you saw, I bought 4 rolls, or 4 boxes that had 2 rolls each of colors for the bike, because I kind of anticipated I was going to do that. I bought 2 black, a white, and a red, and over the period of Thursday and Friday of last week, I took the time and learned how to do a Harlequin weave that utilizes 3 colors. Now, unfortunately, there was nothing online that really showed me how to do this, so I kind of had to learn it myself, and I'll post a link, or add a link into the bottom of this video when I actually get around to it. I'm going to create a video to put on my regular YouTube channel, not just this playlist for the Tour Divide, but a regular YouTube, on my YouTube channel a link that shows how to do a Harlequin weave with 3 colors. By doing this, I learned that yes, you could even do 4 colors if you wanted, but I'll probably do a video to show how to do a 3-color, but also how to do a 2-color diamond weave. And it's not horribly hard once you learn how to do it, but you really have to think about it, and it takes some time to do. So I got these handlebars wrapped Thursday and Friday. I was quite happy with them. It was difficult to try and do these transitions from the bars on the end and the handlebars here going to the levers, but I found it much easier to do these parts here and then be able to blend it in with my risers on the Surly Moloko. So that's the bar wrapping that I did. I wanted to get that before I was able to get the bag on, so we're good there. And like I said, look at the bottom of the description for this video, and I'll provide a link as soon as one is available to how to actually do this 3-color Harlequin wrap, which requires 4 different colors, 4 different rolls. So there's that. Let's get right into the bag. So we've looked at the bars, we've looked at the bags, and now it's time to actually take the bag and put it on here. There's a couple things that have to take place in order for that to happen. First thing is because we have those tunnels, we need to have a way to actually kind of slide our straps through those tunnels. And the way that we do that is we get a little cable hose or something that we can actually slide through that is pretty rigid. Coincidentally, with this bike frame, I got this hose that's good for interior routing of cables through the bike. So I can use that. It's lightweight. It'll pack in just fine. I can take it to Banff with me. I'm at the hotel and I've got to reassemble the handlebar and everything. I can use that to slide the straps. The second thing that we need is each one of these straps has one of these clips on it. Now the clips have a little section where the strap will catch on it and it'll resist going out of tension. So we got to take those off because those straps have to be able to slide through the tunnels. So those are the 2 things that we need. And then of course we need the bike with the handlebars. So let's go ahead and start putting that on here. So like I was explaining with this, the way that this is going to go on here is like this. Everything's going to kind of press up against the handlebars, and the black fabric is going to be the thing rubbing up against this so that this bag doesn't get damaged before this does. This is a lot heavier duty, and so it'll be able to resist getting torn up or anything. So there's that. So let's we'll start by just kind of putting our first strap on here. So we're going to go up like so. And the thing that's important is when we bring it around to slide in the tunnel, we want to make sure we're going the same way so that we get a nice kind of straight wrap. We don't want to have it so it coils or twists or anything like that. So bring it through like so. And the thing that I found that makes this work pretty well is this, like that. If you actually take it and you fold it over and then fold it in half, and you go and you slide this into here, you slide it in that way into the tunnel, like so. You can slide it through pretty good, and it'll come right through. Now, of course, that was one of the easier tunnels to do, so you know, no huge difficulty there. So we'll do kind of the same thing again with this one. Except we got to make sure we go the right way. Right now, we're just trying to kind of get it somewhat loosely in place so that we can get our positioning right and everything. So we'll do the same thing here. Fold it in half. Fold it in half. So And then we're going to go through our tunnel right here. You can see. If I can kind of get it open, then I should be able to slide that in. And the trick, like I said, is you don't want to have this wrapped up, so right now it looks like we are. Looks like we need to wrap it one more time. We're actually going to go this way. And these tunnels are relatively easy, so it's not too bad to do. So, I get those somewhat secured up onto the bike, handlebars. And let's see. This one here, if I remember correctly, we go up and over, and we start to go down this way when we come into that tunnel. So, that one's a little bit trickier to do, as you'll see. So we're going to fold it in half, like I said, and after we folded it over, get our tunnel started, like so. And we can pull this one kind of down. We do the same thing on the other side here. And kind of go up and over. And we can go through. And we're going to fold it over. Put our thing in here. We're going to fold it in half. And we're going to grab our tunnel. Open it up if we can. Sometimes this can be kind of a pain in the butt, but once you do it a few times, it's not too bad. So open that up. Right now, almost to the end there. Okay, we're through. Slide it this away like so. The problem you can get sometimes is maybe kind of the wrong way when you get in here, especially with this long tunnel. So you've got to actually unroll it. And so when that happens, you kind of have to try to work that roll out. Tried this before to get this kind of unrolled properly, and that seems to work. Okay, got that one down. Got that one down. Then, in the back here, we have to go over this handlebar, like so. And we got another tunnel we have to feed through. So we're going to fold this over, fold it in half, and you probably can't actually see this tunnel here because it's on this back side of the bag, but essentially, let's turn this a little bit so you can actually see, maybe. Basically, it's a really tight kind of loop here that goes, and there's a tunnel right here, and that's going to just kind of pull everything in there. So, like I said, we're going to fold it over, fold it in half, fold it back this way. I'm just going to do it kind of out of sight, but you can kind of trust that what I'm actually saying I'm doing is actually happening. So we're feeding it in to our tunnel, and we're going to feed it down. Okay, and we pull through. Now the next thing that's important is we want to pull it through in such a way that we get any kind of creasing out. So you just have to kind of pull it back out a certain portion. So we don't want it to be rolled. And it gets a little tricky because when you get these long tunnels, you don't really know for sure if you've got it going through the right way. It seems like I've still got it rolled a little bit. I think I finally got it that time to roll the right way. I think. There we go. That one was, they can be a little tricky, but the trick is just to get it to roll through there right. So then the last one that we have is, we've got this one here. If you go through this tunnel back here, which you may not be able to see, but so we're going to fold it over. I'm going to fold it in half, and we're going to okay, sometimes, like I said, the straps don't like to necessarily go in there, but once you can get it, it's not bad. So, loosen up this one a little bit, so there's some extra hanging down. And if everything's tight, it can also make it a little bit more difficult to push that stuff in. Almost got it, but it almost feels like it's gotten stuck. So we're going to have to pull that back out. Which can be frustrating. almost to the end there. Got it. Then, like I was saying before, we have to make sure we wrap the right way. And we go down through it. And try not to pull our strap all the way through, which I just kind of almost did. Problem is I've got a little bit of a loop in here. It's flipping over as it goes through. So, like I did with the other one, I just gotta try to pull it through in such a way that it unloops it. Which looks like I've got that one there. So now what we can do is we can actually go and start tightening stuff up. So like this one here, we can pull through, pull that through. You can do the same thing here, pull that kind of tight. Of course, we want to kind of get this centered on here, on the bike. Pull this strap through. Over here, we do the same thing. Then we got this bag here, as you can see. This bag that we can start putting stuff in. So, what I have found with this is get the sleeping bag, or the tent first, which I found that with the tent, folding it over as opposed to rolling it up, it gives a nice kind of flat object that I can then put in the roll bag. So I can put that in there. Then I can grab the sleeping bag, which we put in the dry bag, kind of condenses down. I can put that kind of on top. And the beauty of it is that I found, I'll roll it kind of under so that water will roll off. The beauty of this design, I found, is I can get it on one side here, then I can go to the other side and I can kind of work it. Of course, I don't want to really condense that down too much yet because, as you can see, I've got a big air bladder in here, which will be difficult when I get these straps to actually start pulling around. So that's what we have to do next is we get these 4 little clips, and you've got 2 different sides. You've got this side here, it's got the little catches, and then you got this inside that's got catches. So basically the side that's got the catches, you want to come out on that side. So we'll take our first strap, make sure that it's going this way. So we'll go through, like so. The side that's got our catches, we're going to come out on, so that when it starts to catch, it's going to catch right here. So we can just clip that for right now. Do the next one. Do the same thing like we did with the others, where the catch is on our exterior feeding end, so right here. for my fingers. Of course, everything's not fully tight yet, so we just have to kind of work that. And we begin to tighten down our straps as we go along. And we get the next one. This one here. We're going to do the same thing. Go through, and then go through on the bottom. Like I said, there's a big pocket of air right here now, so the important thing is we want to kind of get this centered on the bike. So I'm going to kind of open this up for a moment. I'm going to loosen these straps out just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my weight because I can see that I'm not centered on here. So I can shift this within the bag a little bit just to kind of get everything centered a little better. Then I can kind of secure this down a little bit. And the nice thing will be is when I'm out there on the road, whenever I need to take this stuff out, I only have to do one side because then I've already got the one side adjusted to where it needs to be. So now we can do this last strap here, making sure that we're coming out the right way. We're going to go through like so. So then, it's just a matter of cinching stuff down. Like so. Because I've left this open, a lot of that air has finally come out now. And I can continue to cinch this down until I get it to a point where, as far as the bike is concerned, this isn't really going to go anywhere. So there you kind of have it. That's the idea that was behind it. You know, we're kind of coming across here and here on the handlebars, and then we're using these parts here to secure it to get a good balance across the bag for that load for the bike. So that's where we are with that. We're pretty much in a good position now with the bike where we got all of our gearing ready to go. We can load it up, we can take it out. And that's kind of the next steps. Planning a bike packing weekend, I don't know when yet, at least one time. May want to try and get some additional riding in. That's one of my biggest concerns going into July. We're about 6 weeks away, and I don't have enough experience, in my opinion, for the single track and the gravel riding. So, assuming I can get that time in and be able to ride and all that, should be good to go come July. I guess time is just going to tell. So anyways, that's the bag. It's nice, it's compact. It doesn't really go anywhere. I can cinch it down more to tighten it up with the bike. And so, you know, it's ready to go. If you guys got any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them. Don't forget, I will post a link in the description of this video about how to do a Harlequin wrap, especially like a 3-color, since I couldn't find anything online really video-wise about it. And probably have a video here in a few days, maybe when I go get some dirt riding in. So that's it for today. Hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks.